Greetings from the Super Soul Farm in New York, and let's get into it. Okay, we'll go back a little bit. Reading from the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, Volume 2, Chapter 3. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ekākitvena dhyānaṁ, vivikte khalu sidhyati, saṅkīrtanaṁ, vivikte bahūnāṁ saṅgato picha. Meditation one can successfully perform alone in a secluded place, but saṅkīrtana either in seclusion or in the company of many others. Om Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Taksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Vansha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Shindu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So kind of what it's thinking of and kind of has hit me now is how much the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta is a summary. Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, the nectar, the great nectar of the Bhagavatam. And it's interesting because the Bhagavatam itself, Nigamakalpataro Galitam, Phalam Sukham Mukad Amrita Dravyatam, it's Nigamakalpataro Galam. It's the desire, the fruit of the desire tree of Vedic knowledge. And this itself is the essence of the Bhagavatam. It's like the Bhagavatam is the cream of the Vedic knowledge. And this is the creme de la creme, the cream of the cream. But how much it so expertly parallels the Bhagavatam. And the Bhagavatam, I mean, basically it has the sadhya. The sadhya is when hearing the pastimes of Krishna, being purified in our intelligence and purified in our attitude by atthasargas, visargas, chastity, by the different subject matters of the Bhagavatam, so that, and I make the point, there's a difference between hearing the truth and understanding the truth. Being able to understand the truth. Remember, I wrote that article that perception, being able to perceive reality, is not just based on the senses. It's based on the understanding. It's based on the intention. It's based on our attitude. It's based on our knowledge. The whole principle of yoga is that because the mind is not in sattva, not in goodness, not in its natural state of being clean and not distorted, we're not perceiving things properly. So the whole idea of the Bhagavatam is to being able to perceive the absolute truth. So the absolute truth is presented in the Bhagavatam, and the means to achieve it is presented. Kaler doshe nidhe rajan eko asti mahagunan kirtanadeva krishnasya mukta sangam param bhajet. This age of Kali is an ocean of faults, but has one good quality. Kirtanad eva krishnasya, by kirtan. So this is presented so the whole Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta is a condensed version in an attractive way how to present these points of Bhagavat Kripa Sar, the first book, the topmost recipient of God's mercy, which means the most forceful love in that personal relationship with God, which can draw out His mercy, which is His love itself, and the process to achieve it. I mean, Gop Kumar's example, both in what he learned and what he taught to the mature Brahmin, and what his life exemplifies, is the journey of the Bhagavatam. And then this book, Goloka Mahatyam, the glories of Gokula, the place which exemplifies the consciousness that draws out the full manifestation of God. In other words, according to the environment and the demands on the environment, one can respond in love. If you're in public, you can respond. You can express your affection in a particular way. If you're in private, you can express it in another way. And even in a classical Indian house, the traditional ones, the husband and wife, they'd be in a center area where no one else can go, because that would be the environment that can bring out the most intimate love. While in the living room, in the family room, there's certain restrictions to this. So the Goloka Mahatram, the place, Bhagavat Kripa Sar, the people that draw out that love, the place that draw out that love, the inspiration for us to have that love and bring out our fullest potential in relationship to Krishna. Anarpita charim charat karunaya vatirna, never before given, for a very, very long time, at least time. Samarpiyatam unatojvala, this rasa, this love. So it's such an expert presentation, and where we're at Gop Kumar's journey, let's place him. He was in Mahakalapur, the abode of liberation. There's one God. Vedanta tattva vidas tattva yaj jnanam advayam. But according to your perspective and the process in which you approach, you may see it in a different way. There's one thing, but it's perceived in different ways. Even ourselves as persons, we may be perceived as a child. We may be perceived as a parent. We may be perceived as a lover, a boss, a work. Even a person is manifest in different ways. So therefore, Mahakalapur, God is only manifest in a very distant way, like seeing a mountain in the distance and seeing a type of oneness and not seeing the variety in the mountain. So being in Mahakalapur, the abode of liberation, desire is just to negate the suffering of the world, where your desire is not to confront the superiority of personhood in Godhead. And it's tempting, and it has its own ecstasy. Anyway, because it's the same group, you know the story. The Vaikuntha Dutas, Gop Kumar, by seeing Lord Shiva and seeing the Vaikuntha Dutas, has a strong, strong desire to go to Vaikuntha. And he doesn't feel qualified, and they explain to him that because he's a devotee, this I'm repeating again and again because it's such an important point. Because he's a devotee, because he's fixed in Guru, because he's fixed in it, has faith in his mantra, because he honors the Bhagavatam, he can attract God's mercy. If you look at your ability to obtain God by your own karmic abilities and effort, we become crushed and disappointed by the daunting task. But when we understand, and what the Vaikuntha Dutas are explaining, we understand, even though there's no way we can qualify to attain God's mercy, there is a way our lack of qualification and humility can attract God's mercy. So they explained to Gop Kumar that you can achieve it. And if you want to achieve it quickly, the Vaikuntha Dutas say, then you go to Vrindavan and do Nam Kirtan. And that's also for us, even in our minds, or we can attend briefly. Go to Vrindavan and do Nam Kirtan. Do Nam Kirtan. This is the Yuga Dharma. Harinama, 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 Eva Kevalam, Kalo, Nasteva, Nasteva, Gatir. There's no other way, there's no other way, there's no other way. This is the method, and it's the method of the Bhagavatam. The last verse says saṅkīrtana, chanting the holy name. The Chaitanya Charitamrita, Taramadye, Sarvashreshte, Nama Saṅkīrtana, Nira Aparade Poya. So many, there's 9 processes. Chanting is the best. And then I'm bringing it up to, the Vaikuntha Dutas clear the doubt that Gop Kumar may have, that meditation is best. Especially heard this on Tapaloka in his journey from Pippalayan Rishi. So that doubt is cleared. And a very beautiful, scholarly, balanced presentation. Why Nam Kirtan is the best, and why some Vaishnavas say meditation is the best. But to say meditation is the best, you have to qualify that at a very high level. Where in your meditation, you're doing Nam Kirtan. Where in your meditation, you're serving Krishna. Where in your meditation, you're seeing in detail the kingdom of God. Not just mere remembrance called smitva. Mere remembrance is not better than Nam Kirtan. because mere remembrance does not engage the senses. And unless one is on a very high platform, what is that verse in the Gita? Uh, Naham kis naham He kaschichanamapi jatu tishta nakarma karyate yavasa karma, that you can't stop doing something even for a moment in this embodied platform. So when you try to withdraw the senses, you can't stop the senses. And if they're not filled with spiritual activity, they inevitably will be filled with material activity, and it'll draw the consciousness outward, which is the opposite of yoga and meditation. So he resolves this. And after he resolves this, there are many verses now, which we'll cover today on Nam Kirtan. And just reading it myself, it's kind of inspirational and it's humbling, because we just can't get around this, that we've been given the greatest jewel, the greatest process for self-realization, and we don't take enough advantage of it. Even though the goal is to think of Krishna and never forget Krishna, and there are many ways to do that, and whichever way inspires you is the best, still there's a primacy of Nam Kirtan. Ajanu lambito bujo kanikavitaro saṅkīrtanaita pitaro. Lord Chaitanya is the father of Saṅkīrtana. There's a special connection with his mercy. And I quote many times from Bhakti Sandarbha, the introduction that was written in the Jiva Institute translation. Devotion in the form of kirtan is unlimitedly merciful to those who are devoid of false preach. And that's why that's why I have to speak about this, to fortify my own faith, why I have to read about this, why you have to hear about this. And we just can't avoid it. And we have to get faith in it. We have to develop faith, trust in the things that will actually purify us. And therefore, we have to have experiences of it. We have to have experience of it. But one thing that I do feel great solace in is, at least I see, by Prabhupada's mercy, people really have a taste for Nam Sankirtan. When they get an opportunity for that, they close their eyes and they relish. Therefore, even myself, I'm thinking when I do home programs, I think the most important thing is to join together in Nam Sankirtan, which is the most effective means of absorption and changing one's consciousness. So let's get into these verses now that the Vaikuntha Dutas are saying, and let's try to one second. That they have respect. Meditation, one can successfully perform alone in secluded place, but Sankirtan, either in seclusion or in the company of others. So meditation is limited. It has so many prerequisites. So even if you're saying it's so effective, there's so many prerequisites for it that we can't take. You can't actually be a yogi practically as a grihasta practically in that type of yoga, because you have to be alone. Grihasta is not alone. You have to be completely celibate. So this meditational process, although at that very high level is so effective, it has too many prerequisites. Well, Sankirtan can be formed in seclusion, but it can be formed in the company of many devotees. And recently, I gave my lecture that I usually give. I gave it in different places on kirtan yoga being the highest, and even sharing my own experience, which you also have, how when kirtan, when devotion, the bhava in the heart is expressed by the discipline of music, and you're in the company of like-minded devotees, the level of absorption you can actually obtain, which is not possible. And then people say, well, why did we chant japa? And I wrote an article on that in Monday Morning Greetings, that the discipline of the mind of chanting japa is very difficult, is very essential for coming to the platform of Raganuga Bhakti and meditation. And that experience of being alone with Krishna, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his neighbor used to hear him chanting. It was a conversation with Krishna. So ultimately, there's no hierarchy of devotional practices, although kirtan with music facilitates some absorption. So in that sense, you can say one, but whichever way, one can become absorbed, but somehow or other, our acharyas, and you can't always be with others either, but our acharyas have determined that this discipline of mind and this experience of being alone with Krishna is very important. Of the many ways to chant Krishna's glories, foremost is his Nam Sankirtan. It is deemed the best because it can invoke at once the treasure of pure love of Godhead, Shreshta Tamam Matam, considered, great scholars consider that this is the most excellent. Among the Nana Vidha of ways of chanting, Nam Sankirtan, this chanting of the name, is especially empowered. Krishna Vanam Tvasha Krishna Sangat Parshadam Yagyai saṅkīrtanai Prayer Yajanti Hi Samedasaha. Those who are very intelligent, Yagyai saṅkīrtana, they take to this yagya of Nam Sankirtan, of chanting the holy name. It is deemed, it has some special potency. And later it's going to mention one of the potencies is because when you do Nam Sankirtan, others can hear it. Haridas Thakur was asked, Kirtan is so best, but what about the trees and what about the other living entities? And he said, do you hear that echo in the forest? This is the saṅkīrtana of the non-moving living entities. So it's the path of grace. Because bhakti means God revealing himself, and one only reveals himself when they're pleased, when they trust, and someone expresses service, demonstrates the desire to love you and please you. You can give your heart. So somehow or other, this prem sampat, this treasure of the many ways to chant, foremost is this Nam Sankirtan. It can independently awaken love of God in the heart, and this is considered by spiritual authorities. You can go from, and when relished with love in countless ways through service rendered constantly by the tongue, constantly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. I remember being with Akinchana Krishnadas Babaji, and it was so inspiring. He never stopped. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna. And then I was with one of his foremost Siksha disciples, and Rati Krishna, maybe the next time he I think he has it, there was, I taped him, Sanatan Das Babaji, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. Who can describe the unequal excellence of that nectar of Sri Krishna's holy name? So this is Sanatan Goswami, who has the mission. Remember, at the very beginning, his mission is to give this inspiration for Braja Bhakti, this spontaneous Bhagavad Kripa Sar. And it's such a difficult mission. And now he's explaining it through this story, Gop Kumar, the Vaikuntha Dutas. And he wants to let us know the goal is Vrindavan, and the method is non-saṅkīrtana. There can't be a clearer message of the Bhagavatam, of Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta. I'm just reading the verses and not the Sanskrit because we did these and I want to cover more. Through all the names of the Lord are equally great, a devotee most quickly, most easily achieves his goal by chanting the name he himself holds most dear. This Ishvara Puri deems the essence of the whole Bhagavatam. To become attracted to Krishna and to develop affection so that it becomes your swapriya nam. And that verse that I practically every class here also in the Sanskrit it says swapriyam, the nam sarvesham of all bhagavat nam names of God. Nothing is equal to the greatness of swapriyanam and ashu swarta, quickly, perfection. Easily you get your goal. And since people differ in their likings, each name of the Lord is dear to one person or another. All names of the Lord are therefore dear. Nam nam akari bahuda nijasarva shaktis. The Lord has many names, and in these names, sarva shaktis. In the name, sarva shaktis. Why Nam Kirtan is so important? Sarva shaktis, all his potencies. So within the name is the form, quality, pastimes, and ourself serving Krishna. When the nectar of the Lord, and now we'll do the Sanskrit and English and we'll go forward, but okay, we'll start in this one. Ekasmin indriye pradur bhutam nam namritam rasai aplavayati sarvanim driyani madurai nijai. When the nectar of the Lord's names appear in just one sense, all the senses are flooded with their own sweet taste. This reminds me of the conclusion of Madhurya Kandambini, or is it Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta? I think it's Madhurya Kandambini, where the soul, by chanting, winds up in the spiritual world and he sees the Lord, and then all his senses become eyes. How do all your senses become eyes? Let's say you smell a rose, then you also see a rose. You hear a person's voice that's distinct, you may also see that person. So it describes he sees God in all his senses, and it becomes overwhelming. And then God calls to the soul in his voice, and he rises, and all his senses become ears. Yeah, you can hear Prabhupada's, you can see Prabhupada, and maybe when you see Prabhupada, you can hear him chanting, you can hear his voice. So and then he faints again, and then he wakes up in the arms, and then all his senses become feel God. And then the final, which is called Odarya, ultimate magnanimity, is that the soul sees, hears, feels, touches, and smells God through each of his senses. And it becomes overwhelming. This is what happened to Lord Brahma when Brahma Vimohan Lila, when he comes down and he perceives God, and it just overwhelms. It's just like if you eat so much, your appetite shuts down. So it described him seeing God and all his senses becoming enlivened in the vision of all the cows and cowherd boys manifest as incredible forms of Vishnu, each form surrounded by devotees chanting, each form being surrounded by Swabhav and Kala and all his potencies and living entities, and each form, he couldn't eat it anymore. He couldn't perceive it, and all his senses shut down, and he fell down blind. So when the nectar, nam amritam, appears, a kasmin indriya, in just one sense, when that namamrita appears in just one sense, then sarvani indriyani, then all the senses, aplavyati, become flooded, madurai, with their own experience, their own taste of God. Mukyavagindriye tasyo daya swapara harshada tat prabhur dayato pisan nama saṅkīrtanaṁ varam. Appearing mainly in the sense of speech, the Lord's name gives pleasure to the chanter and to others. So even greater than meditation on the Lord is his Nam Sankirtan. You get blessings when you please others. So it says para, others. Harsha, happiness. Da, gives happiness to others. I know that in this is why I've established the Govardhan Bhakta Seva Ashram. Why I established the Govardhan Bhakta Seva Ashram, why I established it is we serve the Vaishnavas that come, and now there's many activities coming from my ashram to serve the local people with kirtan and garlands and sweets, but especially hosting devotees. When you serve others, there's a special feeling of bliss that God gives you in your consciousness. So he's saying, okay, meditation, it's devotional, and you're meditating on God. But when you meditate on God in a way that helps others, there's a special mercy. There's a special mercy of Lord Chaitanya. There's no doubt about it. Nam saṅkīrtanaṁ proktam Krishnasya prema sampadi balishtan sadanam shreshtam paramakarsha mantravat. The saṅkīrtana of Krishna's name is praised as the best and most powerful means to attain the treasure of Krishna prema. It is like a potent mantra that can attract precious objects from the distance. And in the purport to this, where this verse that says Nam Sankirtan is considered of the Prem Sampati, the asset of pure love, it is the Balishtam, the most powerful sadhanam, means of attaining it. It's Shreshtam, Param, the best, because Akarsha, it can attract. And that's the process of bhakti. I say when we're chanting the name, we can't create the name. We can only attract the name. We can attract God. So it's the most powerful means to attract. Just like a mantra, I guess there's powerful mantras that can attract objects. This can attract prema. And it mentions the two verses in the 11th canto, the verse that Ishvara Puri deemed the essence of the Bhagavatam. Evam Brata, chanting in this way the names of my beloved Lord. Jitanu Raga, Druta Chitta Uchai, Hasat Yato Rodati Roti Gayati, Unmada Van, Nityati Loka, by chanting the names of the beloved Lord, then Jitana one comes to this stage of, in this way. And what is this way? In the previous verse, it says we should wander freely without embarrassment, without attachment, hearing and chanting the holy names. A person who does this and without fear, without attachment, without embarrassment, gives his heart. And you see when people are advanced and they chant, their whole heart is given. Their whole heart is given from their heart. And when you do it in this way, then heart melts. And then with ecstatic love, it describes samadhi, that you're not cognizant of the outside. You're just focused on this. Tadeva manyate bhakti phalam tad rasikarjanai bhagavat prem samapatu sadaiva ya bicharata. Because Nam Sankirtan inevitably leads to the treasure of pure love of God. True connoisseurs of devotional service consider Nam Sankirtan the very fruit of bhakti, because by chanting, it leads to prema, and the result of prema, you're chanting. So it says Nam Sankirtan is the necessary and sufficient cause of prema. And I think in Sanskrit that is naimaita. The sufficient and necessary cause means the substance of it, um, there's two causes. One cause is the initiator to make, like a potter. There's a potter and there's clay. The clay is the cause, the ingredient is the cause, and the pot is the cause. So they're efficient and necessary causes. So Nam Kirtan is being described like that. It is the method, but it is the thing itself. It is the method to get love, but it is the love itself. Nam Nama Karibuddha Nija Sarva Shaktis. The holy name is also Shakti. It is the method to get love, and it is that love itself. It's not only the best means, but it's the perfection itself. It's both the means to prema, and it can be prema itself. According to the Noahs of Ras, the real sign of a person full of prema is this: as he performs saṅkīrtana, the name he worships, the full force of spiritual energy erupts in him by the weight of his own love. So again, here it's saying it's the cause of love, and it's love itself. The full force of spiritual energy, of spiritual agony, erupts in him by the weight of his own love. And therefore it's describing the the separation. It creates the strongest desire for wanting Krishna. And therefore the greatest sense of want, which is described here as an agony. When you want something so much but don't have it, you want something. And then the irony of prema, the irony of prema is that that desire for God is the achievement of God. The hunger for God is bhakti. So the more you advance, I mentioned many times, the more you want God, and the more it is prema. Well, okay, we'll do 2, 3 more verses. Nam nam tu saṅkīrtanaṁ arti bharam megam vina pravishi chattakanam ratro viyogat swapate vinangi vargasya chakro sanavat pratihi. Like the distressed crying of the chatika bird on the cloudless day of the rainy season, or the lamenting of the flock of the Chakravaki birds when parted from their husbands at night, the saṅkīrtana of the Lord's name arises when one is burdened by too much pain. So it's describing that bhakti is this hankering. And somehow it goes beyond the duality, that it's somehow described as distress because one is hankering in separation. And it's described as the greatest ecstasy because that separation is also the greatest love. And therefore, as we're reading in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says, even someone who is sober, scholarly, and sober, he can't understand these topics but one who hears faithfully, they can arise in one's heart. Because we don't have a frame of reference in our experience in this world for something that is intensely painful and blissful at the same time. And the only analogy that I could come through to kind of partially explain this is the enjoyment one gets when one watches a great drama that's a tragedy. Somehow or other, you enjoy it. You feel the pain. You feel, if it's a good drama, then that means that it must communicate the rasa or the experience. So if it's karuna, if it's a drama about tragedy, it's not a proper drama. It's not an excellent drama unless you can feel the same thing that the protagonists in the story feel. Although it's divorced from your own ego, your own identity, but somehow you feel it. And you feel it deeply, but you enjoy it at the same time. We'll read the purport. Nam Saṅkīrtana, in fact, appears only when prema has been enhanced in a special way. Prema enriched with transcendental hankering results in Saṅkīrtana. So this is this is also very much Prabhupada, that he describes the process as the goal. He describes in the fourth canto when one realizes his relationship with Krishna, by spiritual impetus, he begins to preach. So when that devotion in the heart is expressed, it's kirtan. So it appears when the real kirtana appears is when the heart is intensified in devotion. So out of devotion, one chants. Out of chanting, one gets devotion. And out of devotion, one chants. Prema enriched with transcendental hankering results in Saṅkīrtana. To help us understand the Vaikuntha duties mentioned by way of analogy, the Chatika and Chakravaki birds. The plaintive call of the Chatik is sounding like Priya, Priya, my dear one, resounds on cloudless days of the rainy season. Because the Chatika bird only takes the water from the cloud. So it laments so much when it's cloudless, because it only takes water from the cloud. So how much is it hankering? How much is it suffering? How much does it want it? So this praying is enriched. And when it's enriched with such hankering, then it manifests in the pure pratipadam purnamritas vardhanam. Pratipadam at every step. Purnamritis vardhanam. Purnamritis, the full nectar at every step. So there's chanting the holy name, and that's what the Shikshastakam shows. You can chant the holy name at many levels. Cheto, Darpanam, Marjanam, Bhava Maha, Davagni, Nirvapanam, Shrekaraiva, Chandrikar, Vidyavadu, Anandam, Buddhivar, Pratipadam. So at different levels you can chant. Param Vijayate, Sri Krishna chant. So this is Nam Kirtan appearing in its full glory. The Shuddha Nam Kirtan. The Shuddha Nam Kirtan. And described like these birds and the Chakravarti bird. Husbands are absent It begins to cry. In such a way, Nam Sankirtan arises when one feels separation from the Lord and pure love of Godhead. The true way of doing Bhagavan Nam Sankirtan is to call out one's beloved Lord in agony, expressing one's feelings in various sweet songs to attract one. As Prabhupada said, we should chant the holy name as a child who's crying for his mother, Gaur Govinda Maharaj, Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj. We should open up a crying school. The wonderful, varied sweetness of Sankirtan emerges only by the mercy shown in the various wonderful ways by the Lord, the wonderful ocean of the variety rasas of pastimes. This sweetness can never be achieved by one's own endeavor. So again, the concept of chanting and chanting from the heart and chant is to attract God's mercy. And I mentioned the great example that my Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta Prabhu gave is there was one shopkeeper with a high voice, and he said, Haribo Prabhu, Haribo Prabhu. But what do you hear in that? You hear, I want your money. Prabhupada said we should chant, listening to the sincerity of our chanting. Yoga Sutra says, Tajapas arta bhavanam. We should dwell and feel the meaning of the mantra. Because God becomes attracted not just to the mantra, but to our sincerity, heart, or voice within the mantra. And if we say that this is so beyond us, I can't identify with this, then it's even more reason to chant with that mood that I'm not qualified and I want this. We'll finish with this purport. The devotees who prefer meditation to Sankirtan may argue that chanting in full view of the public is risky in several ways. Envious people may try to interfere. One may succumb to the allurement of popularity. One may not have the required physical strength, or one may be too sick to chant properly. These dangers do not arise when a devotee simply concentrates on the Supreme Lord in a secluded place. So the meditation place, all these things can happen when you're in public. Envious people may interfere. You may get ego and popularity. And there's other obstacles. One may be sick and not have the strength. And that reminds me, the sadhu who saw Sachinandana Swami chanting in Barsana and said, are you chanting the name or is the name chanting you? And I know my godbrother Parthasarthi, Raganuga Vaishnava, and so merciful to me that practically gave me the properties that I have now at a discount of 10% of the price. So I'm very indebted to him for my Govardhan stay, but more for him sharing his realizations. He's in so much pain. He has loud tinnitus and stomach ailments and neuralgia and so much that, and sometimes just pain in the nerve of his face. But his bhajan becomes deeper because that cannot be, because it's not being produced by him. He's attracting God to appear, so it's not dependent on his own effort. No one can take away that when a devotee is gained as a gift from the Lord. This is true not only for Sankirtan, but all the methods of bhakti. Okay. Okay. Jamunajaya, and then Gail, and then anybody else.
Hare Krishna, Raj. Thank you so much for class. This is just so enlivening and makes me want to run to kirtan right now. But I really love what you said, what you're reading to us about in the name, there's the name, form, and pastimes, but also ourselves serving Krishna. I thought that was
Well, I
really
would
interesting.
say
I'd never thought of it
in
that way.
perfection of the holy name is our spiritual identity.
Mm, hmm
In the perfection of the holy name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Okay.
was that
Yamuna Jaya,
was
Haribo. We'll
really wonderful.
uh, I think it's yours. Mine seems to be. You're frozen, or am I frozen? Okay, Gail, Haribo.
Uh-oh.
It may be me, Gail, because I
No,
can't
no,
hear you.
no. It's not you. I
Let's
was
see
just
up
waiting
there.
for Jamuna Jaya's thing to finish. Okay,
Okay.
yeah. Yes. Sankirtan, can be done by oneself.
Yeah, you can chant.
And it's still called Sankirtan?
These names are used in different ways. Yeah, Sankirtan means many things. It means chanting with others, but it also means complete chanting. It means
Yeah.
also complete chanting.
Yeah, I thought that's what you were going to
So
say.
when it's
But
yeah, well, when they speak in context, and you have to understand the words in context. So I think that's it. Yeah.
yeah, also, you know, maybe this was just spoken in a general way, but kirtan is supposed to be the most absorbing, sankirtan, kirtan. But I don't know. My experience is that Krishna-katha or good classes, those are for me much more absorbing than kirtan.
Gail, you're cursed like me. Can I tell you something? You're cursed like me, Gail. Different people have different. Bori Jampu said, "Our taste is the door to spiritual world." You know, uh, actually, I gave a class up in Lakshmi Nrsimha, about 70 people
Mm-hmm.
in his backyard, beautiful setup under a gazebo, and so many different and variety of people, new people. And one person came up to me after the class, and it was really, I really, it was a class that I just had so down, and I was stories and philosophy, and it was following point after. And one person came up to me and said, "Wow," he says, "usually I sleep during the classes." That was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when it can become anything that's and you can say that too. I can say more than listening, speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So absorbing. There's not a space in my consciousness when I'm speaking because the tongue is engaged and my mind and my memory and everything. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but generally speaking, the general sense is that music really invokes the motion in the heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're cursed,
That
Gail.
works for me.
We're just cursed, Gail. We're just cursed with our fertile brains and our doubts and wrestling with all the philosophical points. And most people are just simple.
Well, I'm enjoying being in such great company.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just telling you. I had a godbrother who was really wrestled off all these philosophical points for years. And he had one nightmare that he was wrestling with Rupa Goswami.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Gail, thank you. But
Thank
if tomorrow you want to make a time, we can just
Uh-huh.
talk. Okay?
Okay. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Okay. Okay, Haribo. Anybody else? It's nice if you can turn on your cameras. I can see people. Haribo, you just there. Nice to see you, Prabhu.
Good morning, Maharaj. This is Denny.
Hey, Denny, nice to see you. Okay, thanks.
I had to go back and listen to the video. I couldn't hear very good, so when it's posted, I'll
Okay.
listen, email you.
Okay. Okay, great. Haribo.
Thank you for the class.
Okay, I'm seeing everybody. It's nice. Haribo. Great. Okay, good. I get to see faces on everything.
Class.
Haribo. Okay.
Maharaj, is Judas here? I just wanted to ask, are they taking applications to work at that crying school?
What's that?
You mentioned Gaur Govinda Maharaj mentioned that there should be a school to learn how to cry.
No, he basically was talking that chanting should be done with emotion
Right. I understand.
and feeling separation from Krishna. And because we so much need God in our lives, because it's the environment is so way out of our control that it really creates the Draupadi effect, that we really have to depend on Krishna with emotion. It's just a way, and that's why Kali Yuga is recommended, because it's so hard to become proud that I'm the controller, because the four pillars of life, guru, what I say, guru, occupation, um, partner, spiritual connection. In previous ages, they were just so set up, marriage, boom, rest of your life, right? Guru, right in your village, boom, place. Okay, you live the place. Occupation, you're in your father's occupation. So everything was so stable. So we have really an opportunity to cry in this age and beg for mercy.
I love that Draupadi effect. I never heard that before.
Okay, thanks.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Haribo. Okay, it's just nice. It's just nice seeing everybody. Wow. Okay. Okay, thank you. I'm also looking at all the participants in the class and appreciating everybody. Nice to see everybody. Okay, Haribo, thank you all. Thank you so much. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyas Jakapa Sindhu Bhava Jipati.